time to get started. Starting a little earlier today, I know, but it just worked out that way that we had to do it this time. So with that being said, I'm going to call us to order. And Summer, will you call roll, please?
Commissioner Patterson?
Here.
Commissioner Norwood?
Here.
Commissioner Baker?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts?
Here.
Commissioner Stallings?
Here.
Commissioner Dennis?
Here.
And Mayor Mason.
Here.
All right, all present.
Tonight, our invocation will be by Devin Kraus and from the First United Methodist Church, and our flag salute will be by Commissioner Roberts. So if you would stand please, or remain standing.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we pause in this moment to center ourselves in your presence, to remember that every decision we make, every conversation we have, and every responsibility we carry is an opportunity to serve the common good. We give you thanks for the city of Enid, for its neighborhoods and schools, businesses and farms, for the people who call this place home, and for those who work each day to help it flourish. And we give you thanks for the leaders gathered tonight, for council members, city staff, first responders, and all who labor, often unseen, for the safety, well-being, and future of this community. Grant them wisdom to listen carefully, courage that acts justly, and humility that seeks the good of all people. And God, we also lift up our neighbors and nearby communities affected by recent fires. For those lost homes, land, or livelihood, bring comfort. For those who are still facing danger, bring protection. For firefighters, emergency personnel, and volunteers, grant strength, endurance, and safety. And for all of us, stir in our hearts a spirit of compassion, generosity, and willingness to help one another in times of need. As this meeting begins, guide every conversation and decision. May there be clarity where there is complexity, unity where there is division, and hope for the future of the city that we share. We offer all of this in a spirit of gratitude and trust in you. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. All right. Consider approval of the regular commission meeting of February the 3rd, 2026.
So move. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 4.1, present pet available for adoption at the city's Animal Welfare Department. And who's here tonight?
Freya, or Freya, however you want to pronounce it.
Freya? All right.
So this is Freya. She is a 5+-year-old pit lab mix. She is the best dog we have out at the shelter. She's very laid back, very sweet. She loves laying on the couch and sleeping. Perfect in the car, jumps up by herself, sits patiently in whichever seat you put her in. She would make an excellent companion for somebody who's on the road or just somebody who likes to laze around the house. She would be perfect for anybody. She prefers laid-back dogs, but she does tolerate the crazy hyper ones. Sadly, her owner passed away, and so she ended up with us. She was adopted and unfortunately returned. It was not her fault. The older gentleman's daughter said, "You can't have her." So she's back with us. She's looking for a new home. Her kennel mate was adopted today, so we're hoping either today or tomorrow or maybe even Saturday she'll find the perfect home for her. She's located in Pen 13 out at Enid Animal Welfare.
Okay.
Can you sit? Yes, she's a good girl.
Thank you. Item 4.2, recognize the City of Enid Employee of the Month for February 2026. Gerald?
Elijah, would you go ahead and come on up, and Derek too? Again, one of the favorite things that I get to do is recognize Employees of the Month. And this month, it happens to be Elijah Travis, who's been with us for several years. He started as a part-time guy and then he became so valuable, he just worked himself into a full-time job. So he was recognized for many of the things he does, but Derek, why don't you tell us what he does specifically with the website and other things?
Yes, he wears a lot of hats in our department, and one of which he designed exclusive the Chisholm Trail MPO website, Metro Planning Organization website, and our INDIA.org newly website that we did about 3 years ago. Of course, and he designed this annual report, so go to INDIA.org/annual report if you want to see the annual report. As well as photographer and other things he does in the department, social media. So, congratulations.
Well, Elijah, you're an affable, easy to get along with guy. Everybody likes you, so congratulations. You are Employee of the Month, and feel free to say a few words if you'd like.
Oh.
Derek has what it is yet.
Thank you. I don't have anything to say.
You are in the communications department, right? I
Communicate every day.
mean, okay.
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
All right, item 4.3, present a proclamation in recognition of Engineers Week. And I think that's me, and if I could get all the engineering team to come up to the front, it looks like we have quite a few of them. Is that our youngest engineer? Yes. Everybody keep on coming. Get right up here by the microphone. Yeah, gather around. What's her name? Bring. Okay. I know I have the opportunity to brag on a lot of different people every 2 weeks, but the engineering team just always amazes me on the amount of work, the volume of work that they're always working towards. I actually drove out on 66th Street today. Had someone with me. I wanted to show them all the work that's being done out there. And how all that has to be planned out before one scoop of dirt's ever turned. Everything decided before we start. And then, when it doesn't go like it's supposed to, we get to make changes along the way, right? I want you to know that at any given time, we have somewhere between 130 and 150 engineering projects being worked on at any one time. So everywhere you drive around through the city, whether it's an intersection that's being worked on, a water pipe that's being put in, a major sewer line or a detention center, all that had to be worked out, every one of those details before they started. So with that being said, I just want y'all to know we really appreciate, we couldn't function without our engineering department. So I appreciate it very much. I want to read this proclamation real quick since it is Engineering Week, I think. So it says, whereas engineers use the scientific and technical knowledge and skills in creative and innovative ways to fulfill society's needs, and whereas engineers face the major technological challenges of our time, from rebuilding towns devastated by natural disaster, cleaning up the environment, and assuring safe, clean, and efficient sources of energy, to designing information systems that will speed our country into the future. And whereas engineers are encouraging our young math and science students to realize the practical power of their knowledge, and whereas we will look more than ever to engineers and their knowledge and skills to meet the challenges of the 21st century. Now, therefore, I, David M. Mason, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of Enid, do hereby proclaim February the 26th through the 28th of 2026 as Engineers Week. So thank you all very much for what you do. Morale.
It's Engineers Awareness Week. There is an importance of engineering in every aspect of the life. So we need more STEM people, more engineers on the board. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you all very much. Just give them a round. Let's do a great job. All right, item 4.4, report on the fiscal year 2024-2025 audit. And before we start right here, Aaron, I know every once in a while I see people on Facebook say, that city needs to be audited by a third party. We do this every single year, don't we?
Yes, this is a state requirement that we be audited every year. There's actually two separate audits that we have done. One is just a regular financial audit, and then we have a secondary audit on our single audits, which is all of our federal and state grant-funded programs, and there's a separate report that has to be filled out for that, with different rules and regulations that govern all of that. A lot more in depth.
Lots of them.
And just to be clear, Joel, you're an independent third party.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make that clear to everybody that we do this.
Yeah.
Right? Their wish is our command. We do this every single year.
Yes.
So, all right, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, I'm going to kick off, and I just want to go over one part of the report that is on the agenda tonight, and that's the management discussion analysis. It's kind of a high-level executive overview of what is in the rest of the report and what makes it up, so you can just see in a snapshot where we're sitting financially. And then I'm going to let Joel go into their findings on the audit, their opinion, and anything else he would like to elaborate on. So I gave you each a handout at the beginning of the meeting that just goes over some really high points, and so I just want to kind of walk through those. The first one being total net position. So on page 18 of the PDF, if you have it pulled up, but right here, we have net position. And what this is looking at as the government as a whole, what the total is of basically the net worth of the city. So this takes into account everything we own plus everything we owe to say, hey, how are we doing as a city overall? And during the fiscal year, we actually increased our net position by just over $27 million, largely due to two grant-funded projects that we received, a little over $11 million from ARPA, that we finally expended in this year for the Call Lake program that was recognized, and then also we have the $16 million on 66th Street for the water and sewer line project. So those are the two main things that are making up that increase. They were dollars given to us. We got to book an asset, but we didn't have any liability against it because it was grant funded. And so that's why there's such a large increase this year in our net position overall. When you're looking at what makes up that whole $140 million in net position, basically three main groups. 69% of it is made up from investment in capital assets. So those things we own, water, sewer lines, streets, garbage trucks, land, any capital asset that we could potentially sell. I don't know who's going to want to come and buy our water line, but they're non-spendable assets. We can't easily get rid of them and turn them into cash to do other things. 19% restricts resources that are restricted by outside creditors, grantors, laws and regulations, constitutional provisions, or enabling legislation. So these are fees we have to collect for the state, or a 1% sales tax that was a vote of the people, which is then legislated, how we can spend it. And so of those resources, you can see the breakdown there. Debt services, or a little over 3.8 million when you count everything across the government. We have 73 million that is restricted for capital improvements, and those are going to be things like OWRB loan funds, 1% sales tax that's restricted for capital. The public safety sales tax is restricted for specific things on those. And so those are all categorized in those line items. And then unrestricted is kind of what we're left with after all of that's taken into account, that is cash to be spent or is restricted by this governing body to a level where we've committed a contract to Garney Construction or some other piece and then cash, make that up. That unrestricted is kind of both of those pieces that go into that. So kind of how it all fits together. The one thing that I do want to point out is when we look at just general fund, which is where we do most of the things from the government, and we look at fund balance, we're sitting at a fund balance of $7.9 million at the end of the fiscal year. A year ago at that point, we were at $11.5 million, and a lot of that's because we did spend down those ARPA grant funds that were being held in general fund. We're still sitting at about 10% of what we brought in revenues and transfers in for the year, so we're still sitting well, and we're within the requirements of our rainy day reserves at that $7 million amount. So we're good as we work to get some more reimbursements in on some HUD, congressional funding, and some others that will continue to go back up as we get through these larger grant-funded projects that we're working through right now. Wanted to also hit on revenues and expenditures for the year and how those look compared to previous years. So this gives us the breakdown by, I'm going to go back up to another chart that's a little bit easier to follow. So this chart right here gives us in a snapshot for the whole government year-over-year revenues and expenditures. So total for the year, we collected $146.4 million in revenue. Last year, that was $120.9 million in revenue. We did increase revenues by $25.5 million, and just under $18 million of that was from grant funds. The remaining part, $5.2 million, was general revenues, and then 9% or $2.2 million was program revenues, which program revenues would be utility sales, golf course sales, transit, any of the places where we're selling services outside of just general taxation and things that come in through that method. And then same thing on expenditures. You can see in 2024 we had $89.2 million in expenditures. Those expenditures went up to $119 million this year. So that increased by $29.8 million. 68% of that, or $20.3 million, was from public safety. A lot of that is largely tied to their pension plans and the liability that those benefits create on the city's books for the benefits that will be paid out for those service members when they retire. Other than that, we have about a $6.6 million increase from utility operations, and then everything else combined is $2.8 million. So largely pension that's causing those large swings in the expenditures for the year. The other large thing that we talked about was those capital assets, and that's 68% of everything that we own. And here's a little summary of that, broken down by the types of assets that the city owns. Overall, we increased capital assets by $36.6 million this year from a year ago. There was increases in the categories of land for the industrial park. Everything else that was an increase was in infrastructures and construction and progress. So a lot of water, sewer, things that you're seeing that are going into the ground or on the street repairs, things that are long-standing, long-term investments in the community. The decrease of $3 million is in the other categories, which is buildings, equipment, vehicles, lease assets. We have not been spending as much in those categories as much as being depreciated off of them each year. So if we continue this trend, we'll have to at some point make larger investments in those areas to keep our things maintained and keep equipment up and running for our employees. Then the last category really in this management discussion analysis is the debt for the city. And this breaks down the different types of debt, and the larger ones for the city that we have. Our obligations increased by $3.5 million from $369.8 million to $373.3 million during the year. We did have increases of $13.8 million made up from net pension liabilities. About $1 million of that was compensated absences, and about $4 million was due to that increase in the landfill closure and post-closure, and how we had to recalculate that differently, that we've talked about several times now. There was a decrease of about 10.3 from payments that we made on our notes payable, leases, subscriptions, and there was a slight decrease on the liabilities tied to the city's self-funded pension or self-funded health fund and workers' comp. Less than 100,000 each, I think. Pretty small amounts overall that changed on the long-term obligations. But overall, my interpretation is the city's sitting very well financially. We'll continue to work to get the monies back in to be able to get the rainy day reserve back up, and we'll continue looking for more grant funds because it's great for the city when we can add those to the overall net position of the city. Questions on the general state of the city before I turn it over to Joel for the financials? Okay.
Aaron, anything that's off-site, that's outside of the city limits, that can still count as an asset to us. The turbine over in Call Lake, right?
Yes, all of that right now. Part of it's capitalized, part of it's on our work in progress line that you see there.
Okay.
And yes, all of that will be our asset.
Okay, so since we're being told that that project would now cost in and around $600 million, I guess my question is, do our assets appreciate like they don't?
No, the cost value.
Okay.
It's an accounting rule. They're held to cost.
That doesn't seem fair now, does it?
Yeah, if you end up selling them, then they get marked up to fair market value. That's where the gain or losses come in. So you can have a
Okay.
gain on sale, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. All right, good to know.
Okay. Turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. There's another, in your packets, there's a little slideshow, which I won't go through in great detail, but essentially it's what we call our management letter or our letter to those charged with governance of the city. And it'll walk you through a little bit of just what an audit is, very good question, and just what some of our roles and responsibilities are for those. So yes, annually the city is audited. Typically they're due to the state by the end of December. So we're a little past due. That's mainly on our part, which I'll get to here in a little bit. The single audits, which are the audits on the grant funds, federal funds that are received by the city, those are due to the federal government at the end of March, which is another item we'll get to a little bit with the federal government shutdown. We've had a lot of challenges, and Erin and her team have as well, getting through that. But our responsibilities for those financial statements are we issue an opinion on those. We provide reasonable assurance on those financial statements, so it's a little bit different than absolute assurance. So we're not going through every single number, making sure it's ticked and tied and exactly correct. We set materiality at a certain level. Management does not know what that level is that we deem as to be material. So under reasonable assurance, the thought process is if somebody outside of the city or anybody in the city, you guys as an example, if you're looking through the financial statements, what you can get is all those numbers are reasonable to the extent that if there's anything outside of that, you as just a reader of the financial statements would be able to identify that. So it's a higher level than absolute assurance, but it is still assurance on those numbers. We go through all 140 pages of those financial statements and those numbers, make sure they're in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, which are the rules set by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board that every city in the U.S., every state basically has to follow. So that's what the reasonable assurance is. Our communications, as far as this, the great news is it's an unmodified clean opinion, which is the highest you can get. There are no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. So as we go through our audit, if we identify areas that would be material based on that materiality, we are required to communicate those to you as governance. And great to say there are none to report. So that's what we go through as far as our communications requirements. Independence, we are required to be independent of the city. We have a lot of checks and balances that we use internally to make sure there are not family members of employees or other situations where even in appearance that would look as if there's not an independent issuance. So we are required to be independent. of management and the city. Kind of talks to our responsibilities and who we are required to communicate to, which is obviously you guys as well as federal and state granting agencies. We're required to communicate any issues brought up through them, which there were not any. We also had to follow government auditing standards, which are set by basically the federal government. And as we go through the audit, go through the grants, we're required to communicate whether or not we have findings associated with those grants, which result of the audit, there are no findings to report, so everything was as it should be with federal regulations and guidelines. We audit various programs with the city. This year we had 2 programs that we do a heavy audit on from a grants perspective. One of those is the ARPA funding, because that is actually coming to an end at the end of this calendar year. So everybody's trying to get their money spent before they get recaptured. So we audit that one. And I believe the other program, I'm trying to remember which one that was. The FEMA, yes. Yeah, the FEMA grant back from the 2020-2021 winter storm finally made it through its process of all the different granting agencies, and that gets audited as part of that program, which there are no findings. Other communications that we get to are really into the financial statements, which one of the things I wanted to bring up here is this year through the finance team really did a great job. We spent about 800 hours overall going through different schedules, reports. Erin and her team probably spend equally that amount just to have us go through, pulling everything together, getting everything together outside of their normal day-to-day operations of keeping the city going. So we do appreciate all of their help and support. And one of the things that the city put together this year is what's called a GFOA award certificate. So it's what that is above and beyond just a standard set of financial statements that is required. One of those, the city's ACFR is what we call it, Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, will get sent to the GFOA, which is a nationwide Canada kind of independent, I'd say, association, but they basically grade your financial statements. And will issue a certificate of an award as long as all the criteria are met. It's really a superior level of financial statements as much as accountants love to talk about financial statements. It's just above that next level. And so we're proud of the city. I hope you guys are as well to put that together, because that's not something that every city puts together. Usually it's larger cities. There's probably 15 within the entire state of Oklahoma that put something together like that. So congratulations to them for getting that together.
Very good.
Really proud there. I won't go through, the rest of the slides are really pretty quick, but it just talks through what significant accounting policies we go through. There's 20 pages in the financial statements of just what those policies are as far as how things get recorded. There was one change in this year, which is brought by the GASB around compensated absences. So there's a change in how those get estimated and calculated in the city's financial statements. And so we worked through that. There are some significant accounting estimates that get involved. So what those are really management's decisions and determinations on how an amount gets reported in those financial statements. So some of the biggest ones you can see down there at the bottom are uncollectible receivables. So think about your utility receivables. Not all of those are going to get paid. I mean, you hope they do, but there's always a reserve that needs to be adjusted for non-payment. And so those are what those significant estimates are, is we go through and make sure management's estimates on how they calculate those are accurate and consistent with kind of the methodologies. Another big one is the pension liability. So this is police, fire, city pension plans. The police and fire specifically are set at the state level, and so the city has to record their share of either a pension asset or a pension liability every year. This year, the liabilities, I believe, for both the police and fire pensions just went up quite a bit. And part of that's just how the actuaries smooth those payments. They record those kind of over a 5-year period. A lot of it's based on market adjustments. If they underestimate how the markets are going to do or overestimate it, they're allowed to kind of smooth that liability or asset over a 5 to 10 year period. So it just fluctuates every year, but that's a large estimate that has to get evaluated. OPEB liability is another one, so other post-employment benefits, those kind of health insurance, retirement benefits the city is required to give to employees are another estimate, and of course the landfill closure, post-closure costs are a big estimate. Other than that, the other great news is there were no proposed or recorded adjustments needed to be made. So basically what you guys see in your interim financial statements throughout the year, there were no big adjustments that needed to be reported. There was one, what we call an uncorrected misstatement. Misstatement is kind of, I don't like the term, but that's just what the GASB requires. And that was around the compensated absences, that adoption of a new standard. Technically, you're supposed to go back and restate previous years for how that liability gets calculated. It wasn't material by any stretch of the means, and so it's just easier to report that as an uncorrected misstatement rather than restate last year's financial statements. So that was involved there. Other than that, there were no really big significant communications other than the great GASB standards that always change, and there'll be new ones next year, and we'll get through those. But kind of with that, I was going to close it up and tell you once again, congratulations to Erin and her group for putting that together. They're fantastic to work with, and honestly, I will say we have the pleasure to say we really did not even find deficiencies to report, which we're not even required to report, which is very uncommon for cities. That just tells you how squeaky clean those financial statements are. So I will stop talking and see if you guys have any questions or any other just dying accounting.
Any questions, commissioners? Any? Tell me, Joel, and I know when y'all start this process, it takes a lot of hours, because I see you or your team upstairs for days and days and days, right?
Yep.
How long is that process?
So the process really starts, usually I'd say in September, we start kind of our planning process and procedures. We'll kind of go through what we do at our offices beforehand. And then typically in October, we'll come out here for about 3 or 4 weeks, combing through records, going through about 300 hours, basically just a thorn in the side of Erin and her team as they get everything ready. And then after that, things kind of get wrapped up. Single audit is a big one. That was a big hiccup that we had this year with the federal government shutdown. So unfortunately, the federal government, every year they have to issue what we call a compliance supplement. And the compliance supplement is supposed to be issued in March of every year. This time it didn't get issued until December. So it was about 9 months late. We can't finish the audit until that gets issued. And so they finally came out and did it. They didn't extend any of their deadlines. They just issued it about 9 months late. And so we'll go through that process. And then the last part of it is just getting that report and ACFR pulled together, which takes probably about 100 hours to put that in on our side, and that's not even counting Erin and her team.
So these are very extensive audits, aren't they? I mean, y'all didn't come out in one day,
No.
look at a checkbook and call it a...
No, we comb through records that you would find probably pretty
Exactly.
boring. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but we spend about 800 hours just of our time, and then that takes equally probably about the same amount of time for Erin and her crew to just satisfy those questions.
Well, we appreciate you doing that, and we really appreciate our team over here. I mean, and the fact that we're going to get an award on that, or certificate.
We'll submit it and see.
Submitted. We'll get it. We'll get it. But I appreciate that, and I just makes you sleep better at night whenever you know that all the dollars are being accounted for and
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if at any time there's ever any questions or something comes up, don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. I mean, we're here for you guys as well. So please let us know, and we can always ask questions.
All right, very good. Last chance.
How many people are on your team?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so typically we have here at the city, we usually have about 3 staff accountants that are out here for about 4 weeks. and then myself, and then we have what we call an independent concurrent review process. So part of that whole independence objective is, we build relationships with management. Well, we have to submit our work papers to another partner within our firm who has no relationship with the city at all, and they basically tear through our estimates to make sure that we're not doing something we shouldn't be doing or having management put pressure on us. So we've got another partner on top of that. So there's probably about 6 to 7 people total during that process that are looking through everything.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate again, in the 132-year history of the city of Enid, we've never had an ACFR.
Yes.
So congratulations, well done. It's taken us to a higher standard. We've certainly met I guess I would say the minimum standard that's been required all those years with an annual report, but this takes us to a higher level. One of the things you get with this is that massive 10-year statistical section.
Yes.
That's different, and so you can find plenty of trivia material in there if you want to spend some time studying that this weekend and having some fun with that. Thank you for the team putting that together. It'll be easier going forward because you just have to get the latest year, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't foresee any great changes in that process, but yeah, there's 10 years worth of historical data in the back of those financial statements now. Yep. Yeah, and it's one of those that usually helps with creditors, bondholders. Typically, you get lower rates just because it's one of the top models of financial statements. So it does pay off usually in the future.
And we make this audit available to everyone, right? I'm assuming it can be found on our website.
If it's accepted tonight as part of the consent agenda, it'll be posted tomorrow on the website.
Perfect.
And for bonus material, don't we have about 10 years worth of audits out there for
We
people?
do.
So if you're not, after you get done looking at this one, if you're worried about the past, go knock yourself out.
Go research through all those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just one quick comment, and I think several of us were there. We had the state auditor and inspector speak to Rotary a month or so ago, and hearing that litany of malfeasance and train wrecks statewide, I think it brings back around how blessed we are to have such a good crew as this.
Oh, yeah. The state struggles. A lot of smaller cities, they have a 2-year audit requirement, and it's chaos typically. So, yep.
Okay, good. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay. Item 5.1, hold a public hearing concerning the submission of a better utilizing investments to leverage development or build grant program application for the proposed expansion of South Garland Road from West Randolph Avenue to West Roop Avenue. Jason?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. As you mentioned, this is a grant that we're putting together the application for. I say we, Stephen. He just comes and gets the details for me, and I give him what I can. And so basically, I'm going to go over, this is the first one, and so go over the details of what the actual project that we're submitting for the grant. Just guys have any questions on that, just feel free to interrupt me at any point in time. The first project is a Garland Road widening project. This is the Garland Road located on the west side of town between Randolph and Roop, and it excludes the portion that's already been widened there at O&K Garriott next to the Walmart and Lowe's. Some of the project information, the overall project length is 7,000 feet. The type of a project that's going to be is an intersection reconstruction and then a road widening project. The project has been, through the years, been kind of split into 3 general portions of the project that are the Garland Road and Randolph intersection, the North Garland Road portion, when that's Randolph to US 412, and then the South Garland portion, which is, as I mentioned, where it's already been improved south of US 412 down to Roop. Proposed upgrades for the project include the improvements at the intersection at Randolph and Garland, which is basically going to take that from a 2-lane intersection up to a 5-lane intersection. Obviously going from 2 lanes to 5 lanes, 2 lanes to 4 lanes throughout the majority of the project, and going from asphalt, chip and seal roads up to a concrete road. Addition of curbs and gutters, as well as sidewalks and trails along the majority of the project. A couple of the benefits of us increasing the size of the road, obviously, is the large volume of traffic that we have in that portion of town, and also the proposed improvements to the developments there at the soccer fields and other sports complexes. And then one other benefit is that this is just another step towards us improving access to Vance as well. So. Some of the existing, I threw in some existing pictures. I hope most of us has been over there at some point in time, but just to give some ideas of what we're going from. This is Garland and the Randolph intersection. As I mentioned, it's a 2-lane intersection that will increase up to a 5-lane intersection. The drainage ditches that run along the west side of the project, majority of those will be converted into a box. The water will be diverted into a box on that side, so there won't be open ditches along the west side. So there is some open ditches, but the majority will be converted to boxes. Here's just across from Atwood's there, just north of 412, and as I mentioned, be converted into a box. Here's up on further south, not up. Further south on Garland, that's Elite Collision and the church that's over there, will be those ditches will be either diverted into boxes or moved over. And again, mentioned it'll be going to 2-lane to 4-lane. I haven't mentioned yet also that the intersection there at Roop and Garland will be upgraded too. It probably will not be signalized, but it will be converted into additional lanes for turning and things of that nature. As I mentioned, the project is broken into 3 different portions. The first portion that I'm going to go over is Garland and Randolph intersection. Kind of the status that we're at with the project right now. Survey is complete. Design is 90% complete. Basically, we're down to just getting it sealed by the engineer and out the door is where that project is at. Utility coordination, which basically includes your normal stuff of water line relocation, gas and electric and all that. All that's complete, and right-of-way acquisition is complete as well for that portion of the project. Looking through some of the numbers, the total invested currently with the project is just over $900,000, and the construction estimated construction cost is about $5.3. The second portion to discuss is the Randolph to 412 part. Survey is complete. Design is 90% complete. Kind of the same as before. The plans are done. Basically, just need to be wrapped up and sealed by the engineer. Utility coordination is complete. Right-of-way acquisition is about 90% complete. We lack one property to get that wrapped up. So the total invested that we have in that project is 1.2. I mentioned this pre-construction cost in here at $60,000. That's what's the remaining, my estimate for the remaining part of the right-of-way that we need to get yet, and that goes into the total as well as the estimated construction cost being at 6.1. Third part is the 412 to Roop. Survey is complete. The design is underway right now. It's 60% complete. We will need to do some utility coordination and right-of-way acquisition. There's a portion of water line that we need to get relocated along there, and both of those are estimated at about 1.2. Currently, the project, we've invested about $237,000, and as I mentioned before on the previous project, pre-construction cost is about 1.2. So work that we have left to do prior to construction can begin, and that goes into the estimated construction cost of about 7.2. So after I looked to study this again today, I don't know why I used the word breakdown, because it's actually the bring it together, not breaking it down. So wrapping all those numbers together that I discussed there, the overall project is 1.3 miles of a 4-lane roadway, 1.3 miles of new sidewalk and trails, 2 new intersections, and we've already invested about $2.4 million into the overall project together, with an upcoming cost of about 1.2, and with a total construction cost of $18,600,000. And I don't know if y'all noticed there on each of those projects I had grant match total. For these grants, we propose that we do a 5% match for each one of the projects, just to help our application going forward. And so for this $18 million that we're requesting, we would need a grant match of $930,000. So that is that project. Any guys have questions?
I do have some. This is within my ward boundaries, so you answered one of the questions already about the 5% match. When you're working on that intersection at Garland and Randolph, have you put any thought into possibly looking forward, making that intersection where at some point we can build a road out there to give another exit out of that community, out of the Cedar Ridge addition?
That's been studied before in the past. It would take some property acquisition and things of that nature. And as it sits right now, it wouldn't fit necessarily into the design of the intersection, but it's something that could be looked at in the future, yes.
And I guess one of my concerns is when we're working on that road, are we going to block people in their neighborhood? I'm sure you've given thought to that. But
Absolutely, yeah. It's we've so part of the work that's happening at that Cedar Ridge, I believe is the name of the road. I'm sorry. That name of that intersection there, we've looked at how we're actually going to widen the drainage box that's there, and so that widening will happen in 2 phases in a sense, and so there will always be at least half of the entrance into that property at all times, and there would be access from both directions at all times. You know, obviously there will be, you know, moments in time whenever access will be blocked, but it would not be blocked any extended period of time. Excuse me, any extended period of time. That was a key element in the design and a look at the plans at how to do that safely, effectively, and so that's always open, yes.
I don't know if I read it correctly or not, but it seemed like that was that intersection, there was some grant money left over that we weren't using.
I'd have to look into that. No, it's not.
Yeah, and I'll have to go back and look at my notes as well.
Okay.
It seemed like if there was grant money left over, I would love to see a study session on that, or maybe hear from you what you found out in the first study session. It seems like it'd be great to just continue Randolph on over to give those people another exit from their addition.
Okay.
So you can help me maybe understand later why that wasn't a possibility in the first study session.
Okay.
So maybe you and I can get together, or I can get with Gerald.
Yeah, I could tell you probably, Commissioner Patterson, you saw how much just what we're trying to do that benefits most people costs. That's why there's never been a second entrance in there. Could it happen? Yes, but it will take engineering dollars and a different grant. I'm not aware of any grants for that intersection, but maybe we had some because you're showing Jason $65,000.
Yeah, the overall, I broke the project into those 3 phases because that's how they've been broken out in design.
Oh, okay, that's this grant.
Yeah, our grant.
This grant that we're applying for.
Yeah.
Aaron, is there leftover grant dollars there?
No, that would be our match on this
Yes.
grant if we do get the grant that we're applying for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, our grant application is in the 18.6.
Well, I know the people in that area have been asking for years to have that, and I just was hoping that when you're designing that one intersection, Garland and Randolph, that we could design it in a way that we could provide for the future, maybe for an additional exit. So just something to think about.
Okay. Absolutely.
I had a question for that same intersection. So I know we're looking at widening Garland to 4 lanes. And I know in other areas we are widening Randolph to 4 lanes. In looking towards the future, would we be opening up that intersection for potential for 4-lane down Randolph in that area?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's 4 lanes. Yeah, yes.
All 3 intersections?
Yeah, all 3 directions is going to be 4 lanes, yes. Yeah, it goes 4 lanes just a little ways to the east there of the actual intersection, then it narrows back down to 2 lanes, yes.
I do have
Questions?
a question. Yes, I have a
Yes, sir.
question on Commissioner Patterson's question. That's an awesome question that you asked, Commissioner. Have we ever had a study on that intersection going into Cedar Ridge to create another outlet?
Not while I've been here.
Okay. So would finances be the only thing to hinder that from happening?
I think that
Finances would be a big part of it. You can see this project just going Garland cost $18.6 million. We can certainly do some engineering if you want us to look at that. We have prioritized what I think is probably most important to most people in getting through. But if it's a desire of the commission to study that intersection, see what we can do, I can tell you an intersection is going to be at least $2 million, $1.5 million. And then if you're going to extend a road in there, you're going to be you can just kind of guesstimate cost. We would not be able to execute any of this, so I don't want it to be lost if it wasn't for this grant opportunity. And this is just a grant opportunity. We haven't gotten it. So, yes, we can look at that, but I was very excited when we found a grant, and Stephen researched it, and this grant would allow us to pay for something like Garland, because normally what we see is they'll pay for bicycle trails or walking trails, which are things that are nice to have, but the basic things I think your constituents want and people want is roads to drive on. So I do know it's been a desire for a long time. We can certainly look at a study and maybe allocate some money in the next budget if you would like to do that. I will just say it'll be very, very expensive.
Yeah, I'll need to do a little looking into too, because we did do a traffic study for that portion of Garland, and that determined whether it was going to, everybody wanted a 5-lane, and we did the study, and it determined that it just needs to be a 4-lane. I will look into that and see if that, as you mentioned, was included in that study or not. It was done kind of right when I first got here, so I haven't personally looked at it. I just saw the answer from it. So, yep.
Any other questions? Anybody? Since this is a hearing, if there's anybody in the audience, I don't have anyone that signed up for this, but it is a hearing, so if you'd like to speak, you can. Okay? If not, I'm going to go on to 5.2. Hold a public hearing concerning the submission of a better utilizing investments to leverage development or build grant program application for the proposed reconstruction of South Grand Avenue between East Main and East Garrett Road.
Me again. So as I mentioned before, this is a second application to the grant that we're going to do for Grand Avenue reconstruction. This is from US 412 Garrett Road up to Main Avenue. There's a location map for you. So the project information, overall length is about 1,600 feet. This will be a reconstruction of the roadway and sidewalks. Proposed upgrades is going from the asphalt to a concrete roadway, ADA compliant sidewalks, and drainage improvements for the area. Overall benefits of the project would enhance traffic calming, improve the pedestrian traffic in the area, improve the safety for the pedestrian traffic in the area, and provide support for future developments in the area, as well improved access to downtown. Some pictures from there. This is a Main Street looking south. This is across from the Stride Bank Center. Here in this general area is where we've mentioned before the raised crosswalk portion, and this is going up towards Garrett here. And I accidentally put the same slide on there twice. Sorry about that. This is the intersection at 412, looking back to the north with the area of the future amphitheater and Jiffy Trip up here in those areas where those buildings once stood. So the status and breakdown of the project, Grand Avenue. The survey is complete. The design for the project is underway. It's about 60% complete. At this time, I don't foresee any need for any right-of-way acquisition for the project. And utility coordination, excuse me, I put on there to be determined, but we've also, because the project's still in design, but also we've completed about $700,000 worth of water line relocation along this portion of Grand ahead of preparing for this type of project. So that puts us together with an invested total of about $780,000. Overall estimated cost of the project is $3.2 million, and with our grant match of about $160,000.
Jason, I've had several people come up and ask me about Grand, on Grand Avenue, that we decided to do that when we decided to put in the amphitheater. How long have y'all been working on?
It's been on my list for the last 5 years, I think, and it's always, it was on the list when I got here, the overall 15-year rotation list, so it's coming into its time frame as we speak.
Hadn't been in the last 3 months then?
No, sir.
No, okay.
Yeah, Raleigh, when did we go to contract with Brindley?
We relocated the water line into the 2014.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, we went to contract 6 months ago or 8 months ago with the design consultant. So.
Been in the works a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions? Or did you have anything else on that one?
No, sir. Just
Okay.
just a reminder. I'm sure you're getting ready to say it's a public hearing. So
It is. It is a public hearing, so if anybody wants to speak, you're welcome to on this one. Okay. We'll move on to 5.3. Hold a public hearing concerning the submission of a better utilizing, boy, I'm struggling, investments to leverage development build grant program application for the proposed reconstruction of West Randolph Avenue between North Washington Street and North Van Buren Street.
all right, thank you, Mayor. This is our third application that we're going to submit for the grant, Randolph Avenue Reconstruction Project. So this project is located along Randolph Avenue between Washington and Van Buren, US 81. This is a stretch downtown is just off of my image over here to the east, and so project information is about 2,500 feet long. The type of project it's going to be is a roadway reconstruction. In the past, typical, as we've kind of mentioned before, this is one of our arterial streets that we typically would do like a mill and overlay over this type of project. But due to the crown that's present along this portion of the road, which is the beautiful arc that runs along it, where if we really can't do any more mill and overlays on the project on this stretch of street. So we've through some studies and looking at the numbers, we've decided just to go ahead and go back to a full reconstruction on this project and get that street back to where it needs to be. It'd be safer, easier to drive along. So proposed improvements is asphalt to concrete, reduce the roadway crown, ADA sidewalks on the corner nodes, and drainage improvements. Our focus on this project for ADA sidewalks isn't necessarily going to be the entire length of the project. It's going to be all new sidewalks. It's going to be fixing the places that do not meet ADA compliance, and then also improving the corner nodes at each one of the intersections. Benefits of this project: enhanced traffic calming, safety and mobility along the entire length, improves accessible sidewalks and for pedestrians. With getting rid of that crown, it'll improve the traffic flow along this stretch in front of elementary schools and the preschools and the churches. And also getting rid of that crown will help us improve the drainage along that stretch of the street. Keep the drainage in the street. So here we are at Randolph. Randolph and Washington, looking off to the west. You can see through some of these pictures here. You can see that crown. It's kind of hard to get a picture of it. Here you can see. Oops, sorry about that. Here you can obviously see how much of a dip and up and over at that intersection there at Monroe is as well. So the breakdown on this project: survey is complete. That was done in-house. The design for the project is about 95% complete. Kind of the same deal as those other ones I mentioned earlier. Basically just needs wrapped up and sealed and sent out the door. It was done in-house by Ramon. The utility coordination for this project is complete, and right-of-way acquisition is complete. I actually didn't have any need for any kind of right-of-way for this project. So invested total for this project is about $905,000. The overall cost of the project is about $4.4 million, and with a grant match of $220,000.
Any questions on this one?
I do have one. On these projects that we're doing right now, about what % of them are we studying and putting together in-house through our engineering department?
The majority of our projects.
Majority?
Yeah, usually the only time we outsource is whenever it gets really kind of multi-discipline. So basically when we start looking at projects that require drainage, roadway, water, and they're a little bigger than what we could typically handle. We could handle them in-house, but it would take time away from other projects. So what do you want to say? I mean, majority, I think, is the right answer, Morale.
Yeah, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we decide, like, based on our workload, whether can we do one project or we want 10 projects. So that's what we weigh based on our project list.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically on our roadway, water line, we do those in-house. I mean, every chance we get.
Hey, I wanted to jump out there and say, too, what makes this possible is all the work that's happened for many years as we've progressed. We've known that Garland's on the list for a while. As you mentioned, Grand and Randolph. So I appreciate the team. We found out about this grant probably a month or so ago, right, Stephen? And you guys have really managed your current workload, but we couldn't miss this. We were allowed to apply for 3 projects for approximately $25 million, and I am ecstatic. Now, we may not get any of these, I don't know, but you've got to submit them next week, I think, right? Do you have an idea when they make a selection and tell us?
It's the end of June.
Wow, end of June. So end of June, going into the new budget year, we'll hopefully get some good news. Oh, and then also you can, Stephen's getting a letter from Senator Langford's office, right?
Yes.
So that he can support us on that for what it's worth for whoever makes these decisions. So might be something to talk about for those of you going to D.C. is say, hey, we want 3 projects, $25 million. Please. Please.
Since this wouldn't be granted or given until the summer, are we still moving forward with the Grand project as is?
That would depend on the budgets set forth.
Yeah, if we don't get these grants, that's a good question. The reason that the section of Garland from Randolph to 412 hasn't been executed before is because you can see it costs $6.1 million. Unfortunately, we don't have $6.1 million to spend for one project. So because these streets are so expensive, as you've seen, and Mayor, you've pointed out, in the state of the city, we got to have help to get these large arterial-type streets completed. So I'm very excited, very hopeful, but anything you guys can do, certainly going to Washington, it's not a time to be humble about what we need, what we want, so.
I do have one more question. That intersection of Washington and Randolph, is that the place that we had considered a traffic circle?
I don't know that we've ever seriously, I'll just speak freely, at the city seriously considered. I know Main Street's talked about it, and I think we've had some presentations. Could we do that? Yes, but that would be a separate project and require separate construction and probably engineering funds for us to do that.
Well, and I was thinking Main Street was seeking grants for those kind of things.
I think they may have, and I do appreciate their efforts. But I'm just going to throw out, I've gotten pretty good at some engineering stuff that doesn't involve anything besides addition and subtraction. Roundabout's going to be $2 to $3 million. Do you think it'd be cheaper than that?
My biggest concern for a roundabout at that intersection is
right away.
Having the right of way.
Okay.
I think it would cost us a lot more in property purchases than it would be to actually install the intersection.
We certainly can do that, but we're going to need a lot more money. So when we go to Washington, maybe we'll ask for more.
More questions?
No, I'd just like to say something just so that people can understand, because, you know, so many times we get accused of things that are not true. And Mayor, you did an excellent job defending the city of Enid and our moving forward. Enid been on a move, and you did an amazing job. But I want people to understand, when it comes to construction, and Rob, I believe he would agree with me, there's different costs in asphalt and concrete, and it fluctuates with the market. You know, a lot of times people say, well, why do you have concrete streets over here in our neighborhood, and you like that neighborhood better, and you're putting down asphalt over there? That's really not true. It's based off of the cost of the materials that are being used.
At the time.
So in order for us to be able to serve the city of Enid, you know, fairly, we have to use the materials based off of the market. So I want people to realize that we're just not, you know, saying, well, this neighborhood's better than that neighborhood. I believe every one of us on this board, we feel like Enid is equally the same, and we you know, care about Enid no matter what side of Enid you live on, because we get accused of that a lot, and I get sick and tired of hearing it. So I just want to say publicly, it's not based off of what neighborhood you live in, it's based off of the cost of the materials and the market. You know, when oil goes up, asphalt gets higher. When it goes down, concrete goes up. So when I first started pouring concrete, it was $63 a yard. It's $182 a yard now. There's a big difference in cost. It was $63 a ton in asphalt. Now it's $135 a ton. So, you know, there's inflation everywhere. So it's not the city of Enid picking and choosing one side of town over the other. We're just trying to do the best that we can to make it to where everybody can ride on a smooth road. And one last thing in my spiel, I would like to say, we cannot put streets in on every street and fix every street in Enid with our budget. Because if we do, we'll go bankrupt over streets, and then you all will be complaining about the lights not working and the water not functioning right. So let's, you know, give us a break, guys.
Tell us how you really feel, Commissioner.
Could you be more passionate?
And also, just so that people do understand, could you explain that for the arterial roads, the ones that are used heavily, those are on a rotation for reconstruction or improvements, and that's why you're planning to do these right now, as opposed to working on smaller roads or neighborhood roads?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So arterial streets, which are streets that they're higher traffic volumes than usual. You kind of think about it. They're 4-lane or the kind of county section, maybe kind of a way to think about it, even though they're not all county sections. But you think about it: Oakwood, Cleveland, Randolph, Chestnut, just to name a few offhand. But they're the important streets that are in town, and ones that fire and rely on heavily and things of that nature. And so I have a list of those, and they're broken out into a 15-year rotation, as I mentioned before. Now, typically that rotation is primarily focused on doing mill and overlays for those projects, because that's asphalt surfacing usually lasts about 15 years. And so that's how I have it broken out in that manner. Because of budget things in the past, that has kind of shifted, and these 3 projects that I mentioned, 4 projects that I've talked through tonight, have all they're at the top of my list right now. So.
And I will say, these aren't the only 3 road projects that would be going on in town.
That's right.
And really are going on now because you're working to get to design, which hopefully makes us a better candidate to get these grants. We have the in-house asphalt program that makes a difference every day.
Yep.
If you haven't driven, where you drive somewhere, where you see fresh asphalt in a local street, that's your city employees laying that down. It's all over the place. And the concrete repair project, the 3rd tier there, that's all over the place. So while there are still plenty of roads that need to be worked on, we'll never run out. You're right, Commissioner. We are making a difference, and every day. And so this will make a phenomenal difference, but you can see how expensive this is. So the asphalt program and the concrete repair program are about a $2 million budget item that we try to get in every year, just because that shows significant progress to people in every ward.
Other questions, comments? Okay. Since it is a hearing, if anybody'd like to speak, I'll give you the microphone. Yes, sir. If you'll state your name and address first, please.
Jay Lamoureux, 3610 Willow Lake Lane. I moved here 6 years ago from Utah, and I just wanted to take a minute to tell you folks how much I appreciate living in Enid, Oklahoma. I know your jobs are not easy, you're not perfect, but you're doing the best you can, and I want to tell you thank you. We appreciate all you're doing, and we pray for you every day.
Thank you.
Sir, hang on. I've got a coin for you. You are clearly a friend of the city. I'm going to give you this right now.
Yeah, I'm going to give you more time at the mic tonight, so.
As long as you need.
Ask your permission to do a testimony. Thank you for your kindness in recognizing this is a great place to live.
It is.
Thank you for being a friend of the city.
Thank you.
Cool.
This is a guy that didn't come up here and ask for anything. He just came up here and thanked us. So that's, wow, so refreshing.
Hey, thank you so much. I came here and married Victoria Hanasek, and she's a retired real estate broker and loves everybody she's bought houses for and sold houses to, and bakes bread twice a week and tries to share her soup and everything with her neighbors, and she's just a good example of trying to be a good neighbor, and we appreciate all of you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'll remind you that on 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3, those are hearings only. There's no votes on that. The actual vote comes down in the consent, just so each of you know when we. All right, we'll move on to 6.1. Administration, consider an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2024, Title 6, Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 1, General Traffic Provisions to amend Section 6-1-5, driving without valid license, unauthorized drivers, failure to produce license, failure to update license, to require licensee to provide physical possession of license to peace officer upon demand, providing for repealer, saving clause severability, state law references, codification, and declaring an emergency. Mandy?
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Simple cleanup ordinance here before you. We brought it to you guys initially on the February 3rd study session. The proposed amendment and change simply mirrors the state. It changes the language from the word display to require providing possession to the police officers on a stop. This came about due to the language was interpreted in a way where some people were not handing over their license. They simply held it up at the window, which created officer safety issues. So it's a cleanup ordinance to mirror the state language and enhance officer safety. We are asking that you pass it with an emergency tonight if you do pass it. Do you have any questions I can answer?
Any questions on this one? We have already studied it. It is 2 votes, so I'll look for a motion to approve the amendment, and then I'll come back and look for a motion to approve it as an emergency. So it'll start immediately, so.
Okay, motion to approve the amendment?
Second.
Ordinance, yep.
Did you say?
Ordinance, not amendment. It's
Oh, ordinance, okay.
Clarify that.
Thank you. All right, so I have a motion and I have a second. Please cast your ballots. All right, motion passes 7-0. Now we'll look for a motion for emergency order for this ordinance.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballots. All right, motion passes 7-0. 6.2, consider an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2024 Title 6 Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 5 Driving Rules to amend Section 6-8-5, attention to driving required, to update penalty and delete subsection B and C, providing for repealer, saving clause, severability, state law references, codification, and declaring an emergency. Mandy?
So this ordinance was also presented for you to study at the February 3rd study session. It's come about due to some recent changes in state law relating to texting and driving. This section was where our texting and driving ordinance code was originally located. We're proposing that we delete those subsections B and C and relocate them to a new section in 6511. So that's why we're deleting that subsection, and then we're also updating the penalty for failure to devote attention to driving as well. So this ordinance is a partner ordinance to the next ordinance that's being proposed tonight as well, to relocate those texting and driving provisions. We are also asking to pass this one with an emergency, should you pass it.
Okay.
To approve the ordinance?
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. I'll now look for a motion for an emergency for this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. All right, and the third one, 6.3. Consider an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2024 Title 6 Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 5 Driving Rules to add Section 6-5-11, use of motor or mobile devices in vehicles, to include definitions, penalties, and exceptions, providing for repealer, saving clause, severability, state law references, codification, and declaring an emergency.
So this ordinance was also presented for you guys to study at the February 3rd study session. This ordinance will add a new section to Title Chapter 5. There at the end, we're relocating all of our texting and driving rules to that section, as well as adding some new state law relating to texting and driving in school and construction zones and use of mobile devices. We're also streamlining these subsections by having one single definitions section instead of one per each violation, because there's 3 specific violations spelled out. Each of those previously had their own definition section. This will streamline the code a little bit as well. Some cleanup and some new law as well. We are also asking you to pass this one with an emergency tonight as well.
Okay.
I do have a question on this, but go ahead, Frank.
No, go ahead, do your
Okay.
question.
Remember that friend I asked about last time? She has another question.
Sure.
Using voice commands to send a text.
So there is an exception for that. You can, as long as you're utilizing voice commands, you can continue to utilize your voice commands so long as they're not distracting you, which would fall under our failure to vote and the 658. But there is an exception carved out for the use of electronic voice commands to make calls and/or voice-activated send text messages. It's solely to prevent you from utilizing the mobile device as you're driving. If you're using the voice activated, there is an exception carved out for that.
Okay. And then in the construction and school zone section, Basically, is that saying that you should not have, like, even if you're just having a conversation on the phone?
Yes.
You should not have the phone in your hand?
Yes, so the new law that was added, referencing specifically use of mobile devices in school and construction zones, it does prohibit you from just holding the phone up in your hand while you're in those zones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioners, your friend feeling better about this now?
I'll ask her.
Okay. Move to approve the ordinance.
I have a motion
Second it?
and a second. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. I'll look for a motion for the emergency order to this ordinance.
So moved.
Second it.
A motion and a second. Cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Mandy, thank you for updating some of these and getting us more in compliance with the state law, right? It's kind of what we're trying to do. All right, very good. All right, I'll move to number 7, our consent, paying the bills.
To approve.
I have a motion
Second?
and a second. Cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. All right, I'll go on to number 8. Recess to convene as the Enum Municipal Authority. All trustees are present of the Enum Municipal Authority. Item 10.1, award the purchase of a new skid steer, RTV, tractor, and tractor attachments for the new water treatment plant to Great Plains Kubota, Enid, Oklahoma, in the amount of $278,088.49, utilizing Oklahoma State Purchasing Contract Number SW196GP, and authorize the chairman to execute necessary documents. Any questions on this? We're basically buying the equipment to be used for the maintenance and the different processes that have to be done at the water treatment plant, which to me means that we're getting close to the end of the water treatment plant and the water line. So, no questions. I'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion and second. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Item 10.2, consider entering into an agreement between the City of Enid and the Enid Municipal Authority, or EMA, for the payment of Brandon J. Carter's workman compensation judgment by the EMA with reimbursement over 3 years. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Okay, so before you tonight is an agreement between the City of Enid and the Enid Municipal Authority. This is a companion to the consent item 7.7 that was passed this evening for Mr. Brandon Carter. The judgment would be for his worker compensation claim, and the settlement has been approved and filed with the Workers' Compensation Commission in the amount of $27,000. This being over the $20,000 threshold, the Oklahoma state statutes and our Enid Municipal Code allows us to place the judgment on the tax rolls and levied as an increase in ad valorem taxes. You'll find in your packet that Mr. Carter has signed his judgment over to the EMA. If the EMA agrees to purchase the judgment, the EMA will be reimbursed with interest over a 3-year time frame beginning in 2027, ending in 2029. And in order to do this, we would need a vote from the board approving the agreement.
Any questions? What we're doing on that? No? I'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and second. Cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Item 10.3, consider approval of a lease agreement with Bank of Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, to lease a 2026 BOMAG BC 773RB-5 landfill compactor for the Solid Waste Department, and authorize the chairman to execute necessary documents. Aaron?
Yes, back in December, we brought the item before you to replace the compactor that was in the budget. It is ready to be delivered now, and so we went out to financial institutions to ask for quotes. On that equipment, we asked for both a 4- and 5-year lease options, and Bank of Oklahoma came back with the lowest rate at 3.83 for a 4-year agreement. So that's what we recommend that you guys approve. And then we will get all the paperwork to get it done. They expect the blade to be delivered sometime around the 1st of March, and then that's when we'll make payment out for that piece of equipment.
Okay. Scott, what does a BOMAG do? Remind us.
So a BOMAG is I think this one weighs over 90,000 pounds. It's got the giant steel wheels on it, and it just drives over the trash, continually packing that trash down at the landfill so that we can add more volume. It's really the heart of any landfill. You have to have one.
Okay. Questions, comments? All right, I'll look for a motion.
Move for approval.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Item 10.4, approval of claims in the amount of $5,454,611.28.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 11, adjourned to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. All trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority are present. Item 13.1, consider approval of a professional service agreement with Happy Hour Marketing, LLC, for marketing and campaign management services for the Downtown Public Park Fundraising Initiative. So you know, this is the agreement for us to try to raise the additional funding for the rest of the downtown park that was not covered in the sale of that property. We have asked Nicole Winfield, she's the owner of Happy Hour. Just want to make it clear, Happy Hour has nothing to do with me, right? Okay. To actually go out and do this fundraising for us. I just don't think the city's good at that. I don't think any of us have time to do that. And so that's what this contract is. I asked Nicole to be here just in case y'all had questions.
I will say, Mayor, you might clarify too, I think it's a 90-day agreement for 3,500 plus approved expenses, and we could extend it with a written approval agreement to June 30th, but the idea is to execute as quickly as possible whatever can be raised to help fund the project.
Because that project's going to start very soon, right?
Yeah.
Don? Yeah. So.
Well, I would just have had the pleasure of working with Nicole in the past. She's a superb marketing person. She had great success with the soccer complex, so I think this is a wise choice.
I do too. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 14, adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. All trustees are present of the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Item 16.1, approval of claims in the amount of $3,007.68.
Approve.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. Cast your ballots. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 17, adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item number 18, public comment. I have two individuals signed up to speak. Please, whenever I call your name, come to the mic, state your name and your address. And Scott, if you'll keep us at 1 minute, I would appreciate it. Ms. Terry Clark.
Terry Clark, 1760 East Cherokee Avenue. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, we are coming here today to talk about the city ordinances. The fines and punishments for ordinances that are being broken are very weak. It's like a slap on the wrist. If there is no repercussion for wrongdoing, people are going to keep doing it. The city ordinance we are talking about has not been revised since November of 2021. We need stronger laws and enforcement of laws. If we want things to change, Enid concerning animals is going to start with you. Revise the laws and hold the wrongdoers accountable. Until you as a council take that step, I don't see things on the streets of Enid changing. Please make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. And Caroline Kim?
Caroline Kin, 5306 Gray Ridge Road.
Mr. Mayor and council members, unfortunately, I will be asking for your help this evening. Today's Enid ordinance is written in Title 5, Chapter 7, Sections 19 and 24. People can dump a dog and face a $100 fine. Yet owning a rooster in a non-agricultural zone carries a $500 penalty, with the penalty applied again for each day of possession. Abandonment is not a minor infraction. It leaves animals to starve, suffer, or be struck by vehicles. The imbalance in these two fines for different infractions sends the wrong message about our community's priorities. I understand that dumping can be a particularly challenging infraction to enforce for a whole host of reasons, and that at present, animal welfare's capacity to enforce any ordinances at all is critically strained by low staffing. Enforcement can't improve without people to do the work. Today, I ask you to devote some of your effort to two things that are within your power. The first is to begin revision of Title 5, Chapter 7 of the Enid Code to include penalties more appropriately reflecting the harm caused. The second, particularly in light of...
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. All right, with that being said, number 19, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
Please cast your ballots. 7-0, we are adjourned. All right.
Do you have time to sign?
I didn't realize that was you.